Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Redlands Camera Club. We have a great presentation again tonight with John Watts. Came in person from San Diego. So thank you, John, for making the trip. John Watts from Watts Digital Imaging in San Diego is a photographic post-processing specialist who's been privileged for the last 40 years to work in printing partnership with some of the world's finest photographers, both professional and serious amateurs.
Swell guy.
But that's not all. John also does meetups and workshops, and I've attended some. They're fabulous. So hopefully you'll talk a little bit about that tonight.
I will.
Awesome. With that, I'm just going to throw it over to you. Thanks, John, for being here.
All right. For those that don't know, I'm John Watts, Watts Digital Imaging in sunny San Diego, California, actually in Lakeside, if you want to know precisely. I'm a post-processing specialist for photographers, as you can see here. My motto is serious post-processing for serious photographers, and I can help you with three distinct areas like jet digital printing and finishing, Photoshop instruction and services, and what we're going to talk about tonight, color management products and services. And I know, Bruce, I've done some prints for you. I'm not sure if anybody else have. If you haven't, shame on you. You should try it. I do a lot of very high-end printing, so if you're looking for, the ultimate in quality, I can certainly help you out. When we're done with the presentation, there are some sample prints and some mounting and finishing and what have you over here. You'll also notice that you'll see a QR code for the notes. If you want to go ahead and get those, and for the people on the recording, you can. All you have to do is use your iPhone, bring your camera app up. It'll find that QR code, hit on the bar that says Watts Digital. It will open the notes in your browser, and you just export it as a PDF or save it as a PDF. Then you can print it out or look at it bigger. I know it's hard to see in your iPhone, but anyway, I think it's worth it. So, if you're gonna see a lot of good stuff tonight, but I'll be referring to the notes a lot, which is why I'm bringing them up. I am working on a Mac. Not a big deal tonight because we're not going to be spending much time in Photoshop, if any, to be honest with you. There is kind of a 20-80 rule when you're working with a subject like this. Anything post-processing, when you get right down to it, fairly complex. So the 20-80 rule kind of applies. So you'll retain maybe 20% of what we're going to talk about tonight. So the rest is going to be in the details. If you can't find them in the notes, I believe there's a recording being made tonight. I also have recordings on my website. The Page-O links, which is in the note, the world famous Page-O links, I'll refer to those a lot. Includes my website and blog homepage and all sorts of stuff. And if you go to the blog, this is my homepage right here, Watts Digital, and wattsdigital.com. And speaking of which, and I have to bring this up because he brought up iPhone photography. I spend a lot of time outdoors, and so I am a minimalist. Speaking of minimalist, this is just me. I don't like carrying around a 7,000 millimeter telephoto lens and a 1,200-pound tripod. It's just not my gig, okay? I mainly take anyway, I'm bringing that up because I want you to go. When you go to my Watts Digital page, you'll see visit blog. So there's the products and services here, and then the blog, which you click on right here. Oh, you know what I do need to do is I need to give you my pointer. Hold on a second. Oh, look at there, a lot better. Okay, so there's the button for visit my blog. The very last entry, how to access your best iPhone photo files for your best enhancement. You can download files, i14 Pro or Max, as raw files if you set your camera up right. If you do, two problems. You need to make sure you're setting up your camera right and know what the pros and cons are. And number two, you need to know how to get that raw file out of iCloud. Not off your iPhone, iCloud. So I would encourage you to, the blog page is listed on the Page-O links, and you check that out. And I'm easily comfortably enlarging up to 16 by 24, 16 by 20 to 20 by 24 when properly exposed. And I've got an iPhone 16 Pro shooting in RAW. Okay. Now, is there a little post-processing magic? Yeah, but it's nothing major over and above what what I teach already. Okay, questions are definitely encouraged, but I'm a drummer of 60 plus years, and so you have to pardon my lack of hearing. If you got questions, please bear with me. If I answer Tuesday to a question, the answer is not Tuesday. Obviously, then I didn't hear your question and I apologize in advance. Let's keep going here. Why should you listen to me? Well, I used to have hair. I used to be absolutely just, me and Fabio. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm much better looking than Fabio. So, I've been doing this professionally since 1979. We started the 1 hour lab craze, basically. I got involved in that. And in 1984, we started Watts Color Lab, which is a precursor to Watts Digital. And at the time, all we did was custom type art prints, enlargements of slides and transparencies, and made a lot of really great contacts all over the world, mainly because not the World Cup, the America's Cup race in 1987 with Dennis Conner and all of that stuff. If any of you followed it, was huge in San Diego, and photographers were coming over from all over the world, and we made contacts to last us a lifetime. And so the best photographers in the world. It's a lot of fun. In 2001, we went full digital. This is the Lightjet line now. And Bruce has had some prints made by me, and mounted and laminated, all that kind of stuff you can see over here. But that's what I do now. And then like you've already talked about, Cheryl talked about the free live and online Photoshop 101 classes. And again, you can go to wattsdigital.com and you'll find it in the menu, or you can just use the QR code and there's a link on the page of links. And I've already done, I do 5 classes, 2 weeks apart, twice a year. I've already done class 1 and class 2. Class 3 is a week from yesterday. Well, anyway, whatever the 12th is. Sorry, I guess it's a week from this Wednesday. So it's from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Free is free. So, if you want to check it out, I encourage you to do so. There's class 4, class 5, of course. This class 5 is the first hour of that is going to be a repeat of what I'm going to be talking about tonight. But still, then we talk about, it's not called Edit for Success anymore. It's how to pick your best images for contest, hanging, what have you. I'm a longtime judge at the San Diego County Fair since 2003. It's not that I'm great, but I've seen things, okay? And I know what works and what doesn't when it comes either to a contest environment or to hanging on your wall or what have you. So if that's something that you're interested in, you'll definitely want to know how to pick that best image. I took 6 images of that waterfall. Which one's the best? Okay. And if you want to know from a judge's perspective and some other people's perspective, then I would encourage you to come to that one. Also, a couple things. I have my Photoshop book. There's a printed copy up here. If you want to go through it, through August 7th, it's an instant download. It's normally $25. It's for $17.76. What we're going to talk about tonight in these notes is like one of 10 sections in the book. So see the page of link in the notes. But it's Photoshop instruction designed and written for photographers by a photo printing professional. Okay, you want to know about Photoshop? I'm your guy. Let's keep going here. Okay. I'm into not only dad jokes, I have graduated to granddad jokes. So that being the case, you guys have to suffer. I mean, I'm going to tell you 3 PowerPoint slides, part 1, 2, and 3, a rainbow of terrible jokes about color. If you want to complain to anybody, you complain to calibrate.com. There's Calibrite, it should be calibrite.com. They're the ones that sent these to me. So what's blue and doesn't weigh much? Light blue. What do you call fake color? A pigment of your imagination. I told you, granddad jokes, baby. All right, what's the loudest color? Yellow. All right, sorry, got 2 more pages of that. Late night. Okay, so I'm in the notes now. And by the way, you'll notice this if you're watching the recording or if you're following along in the notes. In the bottom right-hand corner of the PowerPoint, you'll see the page number for the notes that we're in. So let's go ahead and get right into the subject here. The 3 steps of successful color management. Why color management? What is it and why do you need it? Well, it's one of the critical elements to me in successfully bringing an image from camera to its print form in color management. I know some guys have got some printers here and they're going to learn a lot tonight if they don't know this stuff already. So if you're a printer at home, you probably know a lot of this stuff. If you don't, maybe you'll learn something. Maybe I'll learn something. We'll talk afterwards. But either way, what is proper color management? It'll allow you to print with a great degree of consistency and repeatability on either your photo quality inkjet printer not like a 3-in-1 printer, or through a custom print lab like myself, or I know there's lots of labs up in Los Angeles area. Number two, it allows you to print what you see in your monitor with a large degree of accuracy. What you see is what you would get. We're going to talk about this in detail in a minute. Tom, we were talking about this earlier before we were setting this up for a test. So you're going to see a lot of what we're talking about tonight and how this all works. So it also reduces the effects of tonal compression. And what I mean by that, in a little kind of a drawing, and I'll go through this real quick. When your eye sees 100 shades of red, by the time it gets to the print, it's not seeing that same amount of red, okay? That's tonal compression. The same example is if you're listening to not a rock and roll band, but an acoustic performance live in a really nice acoustic area, and then you go home and hear a recording of that, it's never going to be the same. It goes through microphones and it goes through amplifiers and it comes out speakers. By the way, microphone and speaker technology hasn't changed in over 100 years. Isn't that interesting? But anyway, same thing happens in photography. You take an image and by the time you get it to the print, it's not going to be the same color red. I'll use that as an example. If you shoot in RAW, which is why I'm showing you this, let's say your eye sees 100 shades of red. All right. By the time you shoot it in RAW, not JPEG, in RAW, I think all serious photographers know that you're doing your serious stuff, shoot it RAW. If you want to know more about that, class coming up this Wednesday, the 12th on Y. I'm sorry, a week from this Wednesday on the 12th on Y. So if you go from 100 shades of red, now your camera sees 70 shades of red. You bring it into Photoshop, there's another filter. Now you're down to about 60 shades of red. By the time your printer sees it, it does about 45 shades of red. Still looks pretty good, but it's still not going to be the same. Okay. And that also kind of holds true for your monitor to a certain degree too. Your monitor may see a certain shade of red that your printer may not recognize, so on and so forth. So we want to reduce the effects of this tonal compression. And one of the ways to do that is to have your color management house in order. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Let's see here. Did I skip? I must have skipped one.
Yeah, your 2 pages
Okay,
of jokes.
I apologize. I haven't done this one in a while. What is a profile? You're going to hear that a lot tonight. There's 2 main types of profiles: monitor profile and a printer profile. And if you have your own photo quality printer at home, you're going to be using profiles. A printer profiles. You should be. If you're not, then let's talk. And what is a monitor profile? Something you'll create using it. I did not bring an X-Rite i1 Display Pro with me tonight, but you'll see a picture of one, and we'll talk about that. But what is this profile? It's a small file. It tells your computer how to act and what to do. It usually has a .ICC or .ICM format. What's the extension? File extension, and you never even open it. Okay, you'll see on your computer it'll look, nice little color and what have you on this. Okay, so when you hear about this profile stuff, that's what a profile is. It's basically tells your computer and or your monitor and or your printer what to do in a nice logical order that gets the most out of your printer. Okay, all right. So there are trees. This is one of those 20% items, by the way. Okay, the 3 steps of successful color management. Okay, there's 3, and we're going to go over each one of these in detail. Step 1 is to calibrate your monitor and create your monitor profile. And Tom, I know you're still listening. This is the step that you'll want to talk. We're going to talk about tonight a little bit. Step 2 is to use the proper printer profile or create a custom printer profile, and that is a service that I offer. I've got the gear, the spectrophotometer, and the gear to create a custom printer profile if you're interested. And step 3 is to assure that you have proper lighting conditions and perception. And sometimes that's the most overlooked one. We'll take these one at a time. Any questions at this point? Questions from the peanut gallery online?
Nothing on Zoom yet.
Okay. I'm a really good teacher, aren't I? Just kidding. Okay. Look, I know. Let me go back to these 3 steps a second. And at the bottom of the notes on page 1, I says, I realize this subject can get confusing, but just remember that anytime you have a challenge with proper color management, it comes back to one of the 3 steps listed above not being quite right. So if you got questions, just call or email me. I can help you out. Well, don't call me. I can't hear you. Email me and we'll set the call when we need to. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to step 1. Calibrate your monitor and create a monitor profile. This is page 2 of the notes. I did not bring the device, and I apologize completely. we'll get to that in a minute, but the first thing you need to know is that there's an important color management rule to take advantage of all that your printer has to offer. Match your monitor to the best printer output, not the other way around. I've seen too many guys that have taken a non, well, I'll give you a great example. I have a client, still have a client, I have a client who was getting prints consistently darker back from the printer she was using, and she wasn't calibrating profiling her monitor. Well, her monitor was way the heck too light. So of course her prints are too dark because the printer, like myself, we follow standards. We're going to talk about those standards as we go along. Okay. And with those standards in place, what you see in your monitor should very closely resemble what you get in the way of prints. All right. So just, match your monitor to your best printer output and not the other way around. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So step one is to create your monitor, calibrate your monitor and create a monitor profile. It's number one for a reason. But the main reason people avoid it is because they got to buy something, which is true. Okay. And or they think it's too complicated, which it really isn't. That once you do it, go through it the first time, it's not that bad. And the truth is, it can be quite simple to get your monitor closely matched the output of your photo printer or favorite custom print lab. All you need are the right tools, the main one being a monitor profiling package, which consists of a piece of hardware, which I didn't bring, called a colorimeter, and the software that goes with it. You can kind of see it hanging down here on this thing. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit just for a second. Yeah, and it's on a cord, and that cord plugs into your USB outlet, and so that's what that is, and it comes with software. And just kind of keep in mind, and this is something that a lot of folks, even professionals, don't get. You're never going to get your monitor to be 100% accurate representation of the print due to different physical light properties between your monitor and print. In other words, when you look at your monitor, it's emitted light. When you look at your print, it's reflected light. It'll never have the same brightness or sense of presence that emitted light will have. But it'll be extremely close, resulting in savings in time, money, and frustration. Okay, so it talks about the hardware and the software here. I use the X-Rite product, which is now called the Calibrite Color Checker. You can also, if you're interested and a little adventurous, you can buy the X-Rite i1 Display Pro or Plus for $150 on eBay, and you can download the software for free. You can download it from me for free and use it, and you'll be fine. It's an instrument is an instrument. It's going to calibrate the same whether it's a color vision product or the X-Rite product, which is called the Calibrate Color Checker. Data Color Spider X Pro or Elite is another excellent device, and $250, $300. And what is it? I talked about it's hardware. Amazon, B&H Photo, eBay. If you want to go with one of the older ones that isn't beat up. The ones I've got are I've got two of them. And every year for the San Diego County Fair competition for Tier 1, all the judges come in and we have 15 monitors set up to look at all our Tier 1 images. Okay, one of the largest contests in the country. So we use those devices to calibrate and profile each one of those monitors to the same specs so that they represent the real world or should represent what's going to be printed. Okay, so that way there's a consistency. And so, my point is that they're pretty durable. You don't have to treat them with kid gloves or anything. In other words, they're pretty durable. How it works, basically, you just tell the device what you want to in the way of parameters. We're going to talk about that in a second. You install the software. You plug that in. You tell the software the specs that you want to put in, and I'll give you some recommended specs here in just a second. And then you press a button and sit back for 10 or 15 minutes and watch it change all sorts of pretty colors. Okay, that's how it calibrates and profiles your monitor. Okay, so if you go to page 3 in the notes, let's talk about this here. You see in most of these, you have a automatic mode. Automatic and smart and anything in post-processing is like a sale of mattress store on President's Day. I avoid the word auto and smart anywhere in any post-processing program. So if you have a automatic mode or an advanced mode or a manual mode, go to that and instead enter some numbers I'm going to give you in just a minute. But let's talk about those. There's three specific things you need to pick. The first is color temperature. It is measured in degrees Kelvin. So a smaller number like 4,000 Kelvin is kind of warmer. And a larger number like 7,000 Kelvin is cooler. And we've all seen the warm and the cool in both lighting and monitors, okay? So that's one of those parameters that you need to zoom in. The second is mid-tone contrast. Universally, everybody uses the same settings for that. That's really not an issue anymore. And then the third one is lumens, which is the easiest one to understand, the brightness of your monitor. A smaller number is a darker number. In other words, let's see, how else is it measured? It's also, lumens. A smaller number is going to be a darker print, or a darker monitor, pardon me. So like 100 lumens would be darker than say 140 lumens, which would be lighter, okay? So I recommend that you, in the advanced mode, as a suggested starting point, and I'll tell you why starting in just a minute here. I suggest 6,000 degrees Kelvin, 2.2 gamma, and 110 lumens. Now, most monitors off the shelf are usually 7,000 K or cooler, and usually 170 or 180 lumens are usually way too light. And the gamma, I don't even know if you could measure that without having a device, to be honest with you. But the fact of the matter is, you need something to kind of get you in control here. Let's see here. I say starting point because each system's a bit different. You might see negative trends in your printing. Of the 3 steps of successful color management, the calibrate your monitor, profile your monitor, printer profiles, and your lighting setup, this is the one that you may have to kind of zoom in, okay? Like I said, starting point, because you may find that you may have to zero these values out. So if after calibrating your monitor at these, your prints are consistently coming out just a smidgen more under a calibrated light source, well, that's step 3. We'll talk about that in a minute. If your prints are consistently looking warmer than your monitor, you should, after 20 or so prints, recalibrate your monitor at 5,500 K. If your prints are coming out consistently darker than your monitor, then recalibrate it at 100 lumens, so on and so forth. After a while, you're going to arrive at the proper settings on that. 75% of the time, these numbers here will get you in the door. These are the numbers that we use for the San Diego County Fair. These are the numbers that I suggest for anybody that wants to make their monitor look like the output of the LightJet printer. Okay, so if you have an Epson printer, for instance, you may find that 6,500 Kelvin is a better starting point. All I'm saying is each system may be a little bit different, but the vast majority of them will fall within these parameters, these 3 that I'm talking about here: 6,000 degrees Kelvin, 2.2 gamma, 110 lumens. You don't need to profile all that often. It says here profile every 3 or 4 months. If you had a newer monitor, that's probably more like every 6 to 8 months. I probably profile my 2 or 3-year-old external monitor every 6 months. And there's usually very little differentiation between it. Doesn't drift on it much. It's not an expensive, super expensive monitor. It's a nice ViewSonic graphics monitor. I mean, $500-600. Nice monitor, okay? Nothing fancy, but it'll hold a profile for a while. Laptops tend to be tough if it's a Windows machine. If it's a Mac machine, the graphics cards tend to be a little more robust, and so it will hold a profile longer than a Mac, a PC laptop. So if you have a challenge or you don't want to spend $200 or $300 for one of these devices, here's something you suggest, particularly as a club. You know, I'm sure that each one of you guys and gals out here have got other friends in the organization. You all probably live fairly close. Buy one and share it between 2 or 3 people. You're only going to need it once for about 30 minutes every 3 to 6 months or so. Just a thought, you get the cost down. It's legal to load the software on more than one computer. So in other words, you just invest in the hardware and you can share it amongst as many computers as you want. Okay. Let's see here. Any questions on monitor profiling? Yes.
You said some will hold the profile longer than others. What do you mean by holding the profile?
Oh.
What happens with?
His question was holding a profile. The profiles will drift over a period of time. Something's going to change. You know, time, temperature, humidity, who knows? Something changes. And so when it does over a period of time, you need to recalibrate your monitor. It's not designed to go like 2 or 3, unlike printer profile. We'll get to those in a minute. Printer profile could go 3 to 5 years before you need to start it, before it drifts or loses its ability to be correct. Okay. Yes.
So,
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
so if your primary machine is a laptop,
Yes.
it's best practice to have an auxiliary monitor.
Yeah, let me skip ahead here for just a quick second and I'll show you my office. That's my office there. That's my little Mac right there. Now, we're going to talk about color and what have you, but that's my external monitor there. I rarely profile this monitor.
Okay.
It's not necessary. I'm just getting it kind of close by eye and that works for me. Did that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay,
very good.
yes, sir.
So I'm working off of I work off of a Windows laptop. So how do you set up the 6,000 Kelvin and the 2.2 gamma when you're, because I have one of those.
You do that through the software that comes with the colorimeter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then that's what that device is designed to do. It's not that you have to have the Spider or the X-Rite or the Calibrate device in order to profile your monitor.
Yeah, I have the Spider.
Yeah, so the software, you should be able to pick in the software those 3 parameters under some sort of an advanced mode. I haven't used that software in years, to be honest with you. If you've got some questions as you're going along, you can make a quick screen grab, email it to me, and we'll figure it out.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, because I mean, that's kind of nitty gritty stuff, and unfortunately, I just don't have enough experience with Windows. I own 4 Windows. Well, I don't own. I use 4 Windows machines, 2 in each light jet. There's Windows 2000. They are so old that the BBC did an article on people who rely on old Windows machines to make their old printers run. The light jets are 25 years old. Okay, they're classics, like an old classic automobile, but they won't run on any of the newer machines. Windows 2000 was the last stable version of Windows. I'm sorry, we were just talking about this. We can all be snobs about 3 things. Any more than that, you're being a jerk. And I don't know enough about Windows. That being said, I'd be more than happy to help you if you don't mind making a few screen grabs, sending my way, and then going from there.
Great, thanks.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
So I have a Mac Studio monitor, and in the display settings, there's a option for photography. Are you
Oh,
familiar?
those are presets
Yeah.
that are built in, and I have no idea what they look like. When you do it with the Mac, I did not mention this. If I go back to where were we? We were down in here somewhere. Yeah. Use OSD. If you go to my web page, Watch Digital, under free stuff, why do people like the free stuff so much? I can't imagine why. That's one of my favorite 4-letter ref words. How about you guys? Food's the other, just so you know. Under free useful downloads, and it's also on the page of links, you will see right here, need to calibrate and profile your monitor. And there's a video that will show you how. And you can manually do them like I do, set them like I used to, or you can do what's called which with an on-screen display, or you can, I don't remember the exact button now, but you can click it and it will set those parameters for you on the newer monitors, including the studio monitor. So those presets are, I have no idea what their idea of photography is.
Yeah. Right.
So, you know. Does that make sense? If you go to the video, there's 2 ways you can set this up. You can enter those values and move the, not guns, but the pixels, red, green, and blue pixels, till you get the 6,000, then back them all off till they're 110 degrees or whatever you're choosing as your values, 110 lumens, your values or whatever, or it could be done automatically right now. In most, if you've got a monitor that's less than 4 or 5 years old and a computer that's less than 4 or 5 years old, chances are you can also take advantage of that. I apologize. Learn how to use on-screen. I don't remember the name of the function, and I apologize. But if you get it, okay. Tell you what we can do here. This is the software, by the way, that comes with the old i1 Display Pro. And then I can tell you, because now I want to make sure you get this right. Let's see if it will let me. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. You see here, I can't really, can I zoom in on this? No, unfortunately I can't, but right here you can see my red circle display hardware setup. I have adjusted brightness, contrast, and RGB gains manually. If you uncheck that, it will do it automatically if your unit will allow you to. If you get to that point, I know I discussed it in the video. I've done it so many times I didn't think about what it's actually called. But if you watch the video, it will tell you how to do that automatically. And that will take care of almost all the Macs you're going to set up automatically. Okay. Rather than actually entering those values and moving those guns like we do for a lot of the older machines. I hope I did not confuse you too much on that one. But again, you can always go back to the video. It'll probably make a lot more sense. Okay. I don't normally get good questions like this. So any other questions on monitors? Monitor calibration and profiling. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep going then. Step 2. Oh, sorry. You have to suffer through the rainbow of terrible jokes. This is part 2. What do you call a person who studies the color blue? A scientist. It gets worse. What happened to the color that misbehaved? They got thrown in prison. What did the crayon mom say to her new baby? I love you. We need sad trombones, don't we?
How
about
Anyway.
the drum beat?
Sorry, you only well, you put
Get
up
that
it's this year. I have to show them now. Okay. Again, the QR nodes, if you need it for the notes, we're on page 4 in the notes. Step 2. If you're doing your own photo printing at your home or office on a photo quality printer, you'll definitely need this step. Otherwise, if you're using an outside print lab, it's really not as critical. How many folks here are doing their own photo quality printing at home? Okay, cool. So I'm going to spend some time on this. All printers are different. The printer profile characterizes the behavior of your printer ink, paper and ink combination. If I had 10 Epson P600s and I took my printer, my computer, and you hooked them up to each printer, I'm going to get 10 different results. Okay, because the dirty little secret is Epson, Canon, and HP are not in the printer business. They're in the consumables business. And please don't get me wrong, I'm a capitalist to my core. Sorry, free enterpriser to my core. And they have an excellent, consistent product. So when if I buy an Epson or a Canon or HP, I'm going to buy at a professional printer, I'm going to buy Epson, Canon, and HP inks. Do not go to eBay and buy the El Crapo brand super cheap inks. Okay, because when you do, you have no consistency. Okay, so you may pay a little more, but that's how they make their money. They're not losing money on the printers, but they're not in the printer business. Okay, so that being the case, as long as you're using the same ink, you're going to be okay. If you use different brands of paper, it's not as big a deal. Okay, because you got Hahnemuhle, you're going to have Epson, you're going all these different brands of paper. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind that you've got all sorts of variables. You want to bring those variables under control. So a printer profile makes the most out of your printer's capabilities by characterizing the, let's see, I already said that. With a printer profile in combination with the other steps of color management, you'll significantly improve the accuracy and quality of your print output. Okay. So step one, you've got your monitor set the way it should be. Okay. Generally speaking, step two is we're going to use printer profiles with our printer here. Generally speaking, you'll need one printer profile for each paper print resolution combination that you print on. Using, unlike a monitor profile, and I mentioned this earlier, a printer profile will not drift appreciably unless you change printers, ink type brands, so on and so forth. All right, so and I've also seen with some Macs, if you do an update on your operating system, sometimes it might throw it for a whack. Most of the time, if you just uninstall and reinstall your printer driver, that takes care of it. If you run into that problem and you're using printer profiles, when you update your Mac or PC, I'm sure it's the same thing. You go to a semi-major upgrade, like I don't know what they are now, but let's say we go from 17.3 to 17.6, probably not a big deal, but they go to version 18, yeah, it's going to be different. Okay, and so you may, if you run into that, doesn't happen very often. Usually Apple and PC, they have to do whatever 18 months, major upgrades every 18 months to 2 years, something like that. Okay, so choices for printer profiles. If you're using an outside printer lab, you can use the printer profiles provided by that print lab. If you want them from me, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to email them to you. But just use them for informational purposes only, achieved by soft proving, and we'll talk about that a little bit and why I rarely use it. But following the 3 steps of color management listed on page, when we talked about earlier, setting up your file the way the lab needs it, you can achieve excellent results without ever physically visiting the lab, knowing your image will look with a great, how your image will look with a great degree of accuracy. And that's for informational purposes. Now, for your photo inkjet printers, you can either use the generic printer profiles that come with the printer. If you got an Epson printer, if you download an Epson, what do we got here? Epson photo, the Kirkland, okay, well, Kirkland's fine. And by the way, if you do a Kirkland brand or an Epson brand glossy or whatever, you really just need one profile for the glossy. Unless the base of the paper, one is particularly cooler or warmer than the other. But generally speaking, if you got 7 different papers, but 3 of them are glossy, just get one of the glossy, the one you use the most, and use that one, okay, over and over for your paper. So you could try those, and they usually do a pretty good job. But again, when you use these generic printer profiles, they are not for your printer. If you find that it's not getting the job done, then you might want to invest in custom printer profiles, and that's something I can help you with. And basically, you print out some targets that you download from my website. You start following very specific instructions. You send them to me via snail mail. I read them with spectrophotometer and outrageously priced software, and I'll send you back 1.5 megabyte file that is designed specifically for your printer. Okay, so those are where you can get those profiles. Are any of those that are printing at home now, are you using printer profiles? Yes? Okay. All right. And are you getting to the point now where you have very little waste in what you see between what your monitor is and what your printer is?
Well, I need new ink for my printer, so I need to figure it out now. My printer doesn't have it anymore.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you saying.
They don't make the ink for my printer anymore. As of the beginning of this year.
They quit making the ink for his printer.
Is what?
It's not an issue. He doesn't have any ink.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. He's back there in Timbuk 3, man. What can I say? So Timbuk 4, I don't know, one of those. So anyway, but either way, if you got any questions about setting this up, contact me. I mean, even if you don't want to do a custom printer profile from me, if you download the targets and the instructions for it, you may find some useful stuff in there. Okay, where to load them, all that kind of stuff. So, in fact, I believe on page 5, it talks about how to load the printer profile on your computer, where to load it, all that kind of stuff. And that's in the notes on page 5. You know, I should also, oh, here, we'll save that one because I know you guys are really into these jokes. If you go to, again, this free useful downloads page on my website, the notes, you can also kind of download them right here if you want. Same thing for the most part, only I think I put Redlands Camera Club in this one, you know, because I wanted you, well, you are special, but you know what I mean. But it's essentially the same, so you can use it. Actually, if you do the QR code, then you can have the page of links also, which I think is important. So anyway, let's keep going here. Any questions on printer profiles? Okay, and let's go to step. Oh, one more. Did you know the cyan is the perfect color? It's been scientifically proven. I know they're really getting bad. Why did the crayon go to therapy? It was feeling blue. What did the I'm losing the audience. What did the house members say as the rain washed their fresh coat of blue paint? Sayonara. And if you haven't been noticed already in all these jokes, there's a rubber chicken, and I've got this thing for rubber chickens. I blame it on my dad. So he used to get rubber chickens for us for Christmas every year. It was great. I miss that, man. Okay, so let's go to step 3. This is probably the most overlooked step in all of post-product color management, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's been my experience that of the 3 steps of proper color management in Photoshop, the most overlooked is this one right here. Assure that you have proper lighting conditions and perception. And I'm going to prove it to you in just a second here, but just let me give you a basic example on perception. Have you ever walked inside a building after being outside in the bright sunlight and had to wait for your eyes to adjust to the inside lighting conditions? Our eyes adjust to the environment around us, which is why when you're working on your images on our monitor is important too. And there's some things listed on page 6, which I'll talk about. But let me first prove to you why this is important. Do not underestimate how easy our eyes and by extension our brain can be tricked. Perception is not always reality. Just watch any good magician at work like Bullwinkle here. Hey, Rocky, let me pull a rabbit out. No, it wasn't a rabbit out of his house. That was. He never pulled a rabbit out, did he? So anyway, maybe not the best example because he's not a good musician, but sorry. What can I say? All right, so let's start with this one here. What I'd like you to do is stare at the black X. Okay. And after a short period of time, you're going to see a green sphere. You see the green sphere? Kind of going clockwise. Okay. If you keep staring at the black X, you'll see the green sphere. Okay. Freak out. That green sphere does not exist. That is your rods and cones going crazy in your eyes. Okay. So this is why I'm going to show you these 6 things that you need to do to assure you have the proper lighting conditions, but I want to just prove to you why this is so important. So let's keep going here. This is another one. Yeah. And we have an intersection of the black or the white skinny line. We have a little gray square. This is maybe not quite as obvious, but you get the idea. That gray square isn't there. Okay, it's just, again, our eyes are just not quite fast enough to figure out what's going on. And when I originally made this, there was a football team down in San Diego who were dead to me, and I'm not even going to mention their name, whose colors are blue and gold, and I'll never follow again. So that's why these are blue and gold. So when I press this here, you can see the rectangles charging from left to right. And you can see that when the black vertical lines are not there, it looks like it's going smooth. But then with the black lines, it looks like it's jumping. Well, they're going smooth. It's just the black lines are kind of interfering with things. Okay. Here's another one. And this one doesn't have a button. Okay. We have really 3 spirals here. We've got a purple spiral, blue spiral, another purple one, and a green spiral. Okay. I've done this with the eyedropper tool in Photoshop, but the blue spiral and the green spiral are exactly the same color. You're going, but John, that can't be. It is. Let me tell you why. The blue spiral has purple lines going through it, and the green one, even though they're the same color, has orange going through it. So it makes our eyes look like they're different, but they're not. Okay. Wow. Now you see why this lighting thing can be really, really tricky. And particularly in a venue where the lighting is less than perfect, like the San Diego County Fair exhibition hall. has perfect lighting for horse race betting. Okay, so, as judges, we take that into account and what have you, but you do what you can. So this is another one, and I'm pretty sure that there aren't any white spheres until you move your eyes. And I think the white spheres
They'll travel around.
disappear. I don't know. Either way, I'm not pressing any button. That's your eyes doing that. Okay. Here's another one here. All right. Kids, don't do this on drugs. So, I mean, again, this is your eyes, your rods and cones going crazy in your eyes going, what is going on here? All right. So we're going to have to give ourselves an advantage. This is why I'm showing all of these. And here's another one. In the San Diego County Fair, the backgrounds are white or black. Those are the only matte colors you can have if you don't do a full bleed print, but you want to put a matte around it. The square, all three of these squares are 50% gray. Watch what happened to it. So it goes from white to black. So this is a 50% gray and this is a 50% gray, but look at the difference that it makes in your overall image. So if you're going to choose a matte, what I would do is, let's see, do I have anything open here? Let me open just something and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I don't even know what this is. Oh, okay. So here's an image. Okay. Now in Photoshop, you can set it up so that you can make all of your panels disappear. That, by the way, that's one of the, most people are not into speed keys, but here's one. If you're limited on desktop space for this, now we talked about, I use an external monitor at home, but I'm not always at home and I need to look at stuff. And if I need the space on my desktop, I can hit this Mac or PC, tab key, and all of my panels disappear. Then you can take the F key, the single stroke F key, and I've got it set up for white and black. So this I can tell on this image, will this look better as a white or a black? Now, this particular one, the lady chose, and I think wisely, we went with the white, okay? The black made it look too heavy, okay? On probably half the images to 2/3 of the images I work with, the black tends to work better, but that's not always the case, all right? So that's why it's important to do this. By the way, if you use that F key and it's coming out with different colors than black or white, you can go into your, let's see, under settings, and somewhere in there you can set it as black and white. Now, if you can't figure it out, just email me and we'll figure it out together. All right. Another one here. If you take and hold your finger over the middle, the dark and the white, the two areas are exactly the same color.
Oh,
but if
my
you move,
word.
they look different.
It's crazy.
Oh, weird.
Oh, I wish I had a camera. Those of you at home, you should, it's nothing, there's nothing like seeing 25 or 30 people going like this. So anyway, let's keep going here. This is another one, just quickly. The red ball is orange, I'm in color, right? Orange ball is the same size regardless of what's going on with the gray balls. Okay. So again, just, we want to get that perception as distraction free as we can. Right. Here's another one. What I'd like you to do is stare at the spiral for 15 seconds up top, right in the middle, and just kind of hold your eyes there. I'll sing the, let's see, how about, anybody know the theme to F True? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, now look at the thing at the bottom, and all of a sudden, Starry, Starry Night is moving like that.
Oh, wow.
That is wild.
And I didn't have to sing the theme to F True.
That's crazy.
And yes, I probably could. Okay, so here's the last one. No, maybe not the last one. Yeah, I guess it is actually. Look on the white dot on that handsome guy on the left there for about 10 or 15 seconds. And if you look over on the right, this one isn't quite as easy to see, but it's basically you'll see me over that side. So this famous poet here, Henry Wadsworth J.W., wrote this little poem here: "Rods and cones are nature's own, but our eyes will still deceive us." So I just want you to know that there's some things that you need to be aware of in order to reduce any problems you have here. So it's important to change your monitor screen theme, monitor screen theme colors to neutral gray. Now, you can see everything here is neutral gray, okay? Even when I open, some of these panels and have all these folders and what have you, there's a reason that Photoshop is neutral gray. So you can focus on your image, all right? Now, yes, you can choose in the settings, your interface color. Is it interface? Yeah, the darker color, or black, that's either. But, I like this color. The white's too light. I prefer that 50% gray, but either way, you need a neutral colored background. Okay. And what's a neutral? A neutral is anything that's gray, black to white and all the colors in between. Or not all the colors, all the gray values in between. Okay. And then let's go back to PowerPoint. There you are. Reduce room lighting. If you've ever watched in the last 5 or 10 years, like the making of Toy Story or something on Discovery Channel, and they'll take you into like the designer's studio, and all the guys there are working in reduced room lighting rooms that's usually painted a dark gray or something like that. They're also usually wearing black or gray shirts. Okay, I own a huge collection of black and gray shirts. I don't think this one is. I thought it was, but I'm colorblind. No, I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke. Let's see. So you want to reduce room lighting, and I bring that up because in this here, the little French doors, I've got a little California room with a zillion plants. That's my lunch, my water cooler area. When I go out for a break, I go out here. West facing exposure, but I've got it set up so I can close those blinds, and I get pretty much the same reduced room lighting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon as I do at 9 o'clock in the evening. And that you can't make it perfect, but you want to get it pretty close. Okay. Some other things to look at here is avoid loud wall colors. 15 years ago, I got a call from a lady that was doing some work, and I was doing some work for her, and she goes, "All my prints look so warm. They're almost yellow." And we started going through all this. It turns out she was looking at it in an orange room with an incandescent light. Okay. Avoid loud wall colors. Now, you don't need to go crazy. I could name you photographers whose names you would. One of them is a famous underwater photographer. He's not passed. He's retired. But he has a pool. He had it gun-eyed in 50% gray. He put salt water in there so that he could run film tests before he went out into the deep blue ocean or whatever. Okay, now, is that extreme? Yeah, but I mean, the man did it as a living and he had the money, so why not? Okay, now, you don't need to go paint your walls 18% gray or whatever the case may be. The room, in mine, they're kind of a pale, I don't know if you want to call it beige. It's fine, okay, but you can't see it, but and we're going to talk about lights here in just a second, but I had my little light here, and my better half hung a little, it was green, whatever it was, a wooden a birdhouse, that's what it was. And she hung it down there underneath the light, and all of a sudden everything in my room was green. Okay, or, so, a little prudence, but I think that, this is something that you can do for fairly cheap, to get you a good space that you can work in. Let's see, we got more to look at. There they are. Be conscious of the color of your clothes. Already talked about that. I prefer a neutral color, but I'm not even sure I own a red shirt. So that's just a personal fashion choice. Okay. But from a professional standpoint, if I'm going in to do anything at the shop, which, did I show you a picture of the shop? I did.
Yeah.
When you look at the shop, no, not that one, that one. All our lights are 5,000 degree Kelvin fixtures. Okay, so I could view prints in this same room. All right, so that's a little bit different. We're going to talk about what I just talked about, the light of the, oops, I'm way off. All right. There it is. Be conscious of the color of your clothes. I love Elvis, but no Hawaiian shirts when you're doing critical judging of color. I would just strongly suggest it. Am I kind of ADHD about it? Yeah, but I mean, I do it for a living, so what can I say? If you're wearing glasses, no blue block glasses like these. If I look at these and I look at them on the screen, it's great if I'm just like, you know, I read a lot of books, but I also read a lot of tablet, you know, iPad, what have you, not doom scrolling or looking at TikTok or whatever, but just for reading. I got my Kindle or whatever on it, but it could be heck on your eyes. But if you got blue block, it really helps. The problem is they've got a yellow tint to them. So if you're working on your images on a calibrated profile monitor, you got blue block glasses. Oh, everything looks warm. Okay, so just make sure, and it's not as easy as you think. If you go to Amazon, you've got to search for non-blue block glasses. It's a little kind of scary. Now, that's for reading glasses, okay? If you have prescription glasses, it's probably something different. But I just want to throw that out, that if you wear glasses, like mine are reading glasses, and avoid the blue block when you're doing something critical. And you use a proper light source to view prints. Basically, you want your prints to look, okay, a proper light source for viewing your prints, 5,000 degrees Kelvin. I showed you the lab. I'm only at the shop maybe a couple hours a day, and then I do everything else from my home office, okay? Hallelujah, let's hear it for the internet, okay? And it's rare for me to view prints at my home, but if I am viewing prints from my home, and you really can't see it, but there's a little gooseneck lamp here, okay? So you don't need to go spend, like, I'll show you this one in just a second, a couple $100 for something like this. If you want to go to that fantastic, unbelievable photographic supply house called Walmart and go to their lighting section and get you a black shaded gooseneck lamp with a white interior reflector, and then go to the other, go to the other photographic supply house, Amazon, and Google 5,000 degree Kelvin compact fluorescence for $5. For $15, $20, you got yourself a properly balanced light source. Okay, so what are we talking about with this balanced light source? Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, this is a 5,000 Kelvin degree light source. I don't know what this is, and it doesn't make any difference, but what I want you to do, can they see? Okay. Okay. If you look, is that me? Did I ding? If I ding, I apologize. That sounded bad. Look at the blacks, the grays, the neutrals. What are they? They're yellow, right? You're going, really? Looks okay to me. Now look at it. Here, let me hold this up. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
See how the black and white is black and white? And over here it's not. Okay. I know, I'm sorry. I should have put it up higher, and I apologize for that. Okay, so this is why you need a balanced light source. Now, this one's good for 16 by 20 or so, you can really see it here, even if I don't do it up close. Okay, here's from this light here, just that little bit. I know, this poor guy. I don't want you to have to put your other arm in a sling, man. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So this is why I would invest $15 to $20. Then you've got your 3 successful steps of color management taken care of. All right. You've got calibrated and profiled monitor. You're using a printer profile or I'll get to that in a second. Or if you're using another print lab. And then the third is proper lighting source, and to give yourself every advantage. Yeah. If you are using a print lab like me, and you want to know, okay, smarty pants, I want to see what you can do. I'll print and I'll print one of these out for you for free, maybe just the bottom portion, and you can download this file for free from my website. Bring it up on your monitor, hold this under your calibrated and profile, under your proper light source, look at it against your monitor off at a 90-degree angle and see how close it is. Then you're going to know what that printer is going to be able to do for you, or what you need to do to correct your monitor so that it matches the printer. Remember I talked about earlier, important rule is to match your monitor to your printer. So if you're using a printer source, if they won't provide you one free, download my file, send it to them, have them print it. have them send it back to you. I'll print it for you for free because I'm just a nice guy, but you have to pay for shipping. But seriously, or if you're in the San Diego area, Scripps Poway area, I'm there most mornings. I'd be more than happy to give you a tour if you're interested, and I'd be more than happy to give you one of these. Tom had mentioned something earlier. He said, I can get this file here of this color checker. And he wanted to know if he could use that to calibrate his monitor. Only from a qualifiable standpoint, not a quantifiable standpoint. So I can take this, put this file up on my monitor with a proper light source and go, okay, that monitor looks like my print. Or no, that monitor is warmer than my print. You got your own printer at home, download that file. This file here off my website under the free stuff, print it out. Get a proper light source and see how close your monitor really is. Okay. And if they sell these, but you can actually buy these. This is an actual chart, like this is the standard. It's got the Pantone samples. I mean, these like, I don't know, $20 or $30 or something. You can actually hold it over your print so you can see how accurate it is. Now, a LightJet printer is the ultimate in quality. So if you can get that kind of quality out of your printer, you're doing pretty darn good. Okay, so just kind of throwing that out there. So let's see here. I think. Let me just show you why I don't do this soft proofing. And this is also in the notes on page 7. And then I think we're pretty much finished up for the day. Other questions? Soft proofing your image. Okay. Soft proofing is you hear it all the time. I want to soft proof my image. Okay. Whatever. It's like the word white point and black point. It's meaningless unless you know what it means. So that being the case, soft proofing, I generally don't bother with it. Soft proof, what is it, first of all? Soft proofing is a previewing procedure that Photoshop uses to quote unquote see the results of your printer profile. In other words, it allows you to view on your calibrated profile monitor what your image will theoretically, I'm emphasizing the word theoretically, look like when it is printed using your printer profile. Okay. And when do I use it? I use it very rarely. If I've used it twice in the last year, I'd be surprised. And it's usually only when working with bright electric colors like red, green, blue, the primaries and what have you, and never for correction in my master file. But if I correct it in my master file and I go to print on another printer, I'm screwed. Okay, so you don't want to do that. All right. I use it basically for informational purposes, knowing that my bright red may look a certain way on the screen, but won't necessarily look that way on the print, mainly because of the printer's color gamut, the range of colors that a printer can accurately represent, and the tonal compression that we talked about earlier. Let me give you an example of that. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and then we'll call it an evening. What would be under here? Sample pics. Here you are. Okay. This is, anybody know who Aaron Chang is? The surf photographer? Now he's Aaron has been, has graced Surfing Magazine for decades, has branched out into ocean art. He and I are exactly 1 month apart. I'm older than him. I've known him for about 4 decades. He's got a gallery in Cedros Design District and up in Carmel by the Sea. And I mean, we do all his prints. But anyway, this is one of his images. And I want to show you, he sees this on the screen. He thinks his print's going to look like this. Now, when you look at this print under proper light, it looks pretty close. But if I use the soft proofing, let's see if it's been a while since I've done this. View menu, proof setup. This is how you check your soft proofing. You're welcome to do this if you want. You're welcome to not do it, which is what I'd recommend. But you can go to proof setup, custom, and then I'll throw in, let's see, where's one of my LightJet? What? Oh, here we go. These are all profiles, by the way. Most of which I do not use. I'm just trying to find you one that I can show you what I'm talking about. Of course, now I can't find it. Well, that's embarrassing. Well, this is one. Here, I'll show you on a just some profile. It doesn't make any difference. What do I have? What's this? Well, this is not a good example, but let me go ahead and show you anyway, mainly because I don't know what this Fujifilm whatever is. But if you soft proof, this is what it looks like with the working space, which I suggest Adobe RGB is your working space in Photoshop. If you want to know what happens to that image once we loaded this profile, that's what happens to it. Now, when you do it with the light jet, it's not that radical, but it is less than what you see here. Okay, so that's just a function of that tonal compression that I'm talking about. Again, I use it very rarely. If I've got an image that I know I want to, particularly with a lot of bright reds like Malia Red here, he sold 1 million of these things. Okay. By the way, you were talking about selling your images earlier and selling more than one, number of them. It'll triple the price.
Yeah.
I'm only selling 25. Well, that's how Aaron does it, you know. His are numbered 85 or whatever, but I mean, still, the fact of the matter is, and they're face mounts. If you want to see some face mounts, I'm going to have these up here. There's also a sign up for my mailing list. I send out a mailer, I don't know, you probably get it, Bruce, and Cheryl, once every 8 or 9 months. 8 or 9 times a year, something like that. So if you want to check out the book, River's running a special on that. Again, I don't use the soft proofing very much. I just want to show you what it's all about. If you hear that, and you just want to be extra before you print it out, you know, go from there. Usually, if you've got your own printer or before you're doing a big one, until you get more comfortable with what your printer and your monitor and your printer do, you may want to get into small test prints or or what have you. You don't always have to do that. My repeat rate, let me rephrase that. When I print images for me on the light jet, because I've been using them, we have 2 light jets, and I've been printing for a few decades. I probably only have to reprint 1 out of 10 because it isn't right, maybe less. Okay. Don't shoot for that. Okay. You know, it may take you some time, but eventually, if you have that system in place, whether you work with Bay Photo or whoever you work with, once you establish that relationship and figure out, okay, this is what it looks like. John showed me some things that might work, and you set that all up, spend a little time and effort to get that in place. You may not have to do that many test prints. Just kind of throwing that out. Okay. Any questions before we call it in the evening?
So, any Zoomers, you want to unmute yourself, ask any questions?
Who's talking?
I'm just,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was him back here.
no, looks like we're good there.
I had a question about the color, the checker that you put on your monitor. We have a color monkey, which hasn't worked for years because I don't think any of the modern computers accept it anymore.
The color monkey is a bastard child. It's it's not a very good colorimeter and it's not a very good spectrophotometer. They tried to do something with the color monkey that would allow you to make not only to calibrate and profile your monitor, which it doesn't do very well, but it also is supposedly supposed to allow you to create a printer profile. The problem is the number of patches that you can use on a color monkey was only about, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 100 on the monitor and like 36 on the printing, creating a printer profile. If you create a custom printer profile for me, when you print the targets out, it has 1,500 patches. If you print with the X-Rite i1 Display Pro, like I suggest, you're going to have like 400 patches for your monitor. So the color monkey is a great doorstop. So I'm sorry, I wish I could be, I just don't, I'll tell you something. I think that's one of the reasons that X-Rite changed their names and started going away from the X-Rite I1 product, because the Color Monkey was the I1 Color Monkey. They rebranded about 3 years ago to Calibrite. And they've also run into some problems with that one too, because people go, what happened to X-Rite? So, and it's the same product. Okay. We all have, preferences, Fords versus Chevys, blah, blah, blah. I prefer the X-Rite product. I've been using not only their colorimeters, but their densitometers and their spectrophotometers, which are the other two tools besides colorimeters that we use in color management. I'm just partial to that. The Color Vision product is very good also. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, what I'm looking for is if we bought a colorimeter, could we pass it around within the?
Absolutely, yes. That's a great. Did y'all hear that? You don't need to have each one of you buy a colorimeter. You can buy one of them and load the software legally on as many computers as you want. Because it's just the software that is the one, the hardware, and you only need to profile every 4 to 6 months minimum. So, and you only need it for maybe 30 minutes at a time.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. And Bruce, I still have the doorstop, by the way.
Okay. You can keep it there, Carl. You can keep it.
Carl, don't monkey around with us.
Oh, give me a break.
I think Kurt has a question.
Yes, Kurt.
So I noticed you didn't address using a color checker card in situ with the model, for example, with clothing.
Oh, okay. What he's talking about is if you are shooting studio product photography or any of that kind of stuff, I don't necessarily recommend that you use one of these outside before you shoot, landscapes or whatever. But if you're in a studio setting, you're shooting monitors, monitor lizards, I don't know, in a studio, or something along those lines, then yeah, at that point you are going to want to do that. But again, it's going to be a subjective judgment. But if you calibrate and profile your monitor correctly and you're using proper studio lighting, it shouldn't be an issue. Does that make sense?
That hasn't been my experience, but I found that with a color checker card, I can get a much better match on the color of the fabric, for example.
I'm not sure I follow you. Yeah, but when you go to print it, are you printing on a calibrated profile monitor?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's referring to white balance.
Yeah. So, does that make sense?
No. But I'll look into it more.
I don't do any studio photography. My photography is mostly photojournalism background. That's what my degree was in, and mostly outdoors and what have you. And I know that indoor studio photography is a totally different animal. So I don't want to steer you wrong, but if it was me, I would shoot it under your balanced studio lights, then put that file on your monitor and see what it looks like. Then if there's a problem, adjust your prints so that you're making those corrections. I'm probably not explaining that very well.
No, you are. You're just explaining it differently than how I do it. So I just need to look into that more and see if there's something I'm not doing on the color profile on my monitor or something.
Okay. All right. If you got any questions, email me. Okay. Yes, sir.
This is not really a question, but I remember looking at a Kodak magazine years and years ago.
Kodak what?
It was they had some interesting publications back then. Anyway, they showed a wedding party, and all the gals, if you were looking at them with normal sunlight, they all looked the same. But because when they took the photo, though, it's different because each ink was reflecting UV light differently. So sometimes you're trying to match it. It really depends on the light you get.
Well, it's probably also done with film too. back then, which was again, a totally different animal than the digital, but particularly transparency film, which is what we printed. We didn't do any prints from negatives. All we did was prints from positives, size and transparencies. So, yes, ma'am.
So I have some really old film from 40 years ago.
Is it a good process?
It's just the film.
Right, okay.
How would I print it?
It has to be digitized. This is kind of off topic because it's not something that I do. I know he may have a way to do it that's different than the way I do it. What I do is I take my camera and I've got a Nikon macro lens, and on the end of that, I can clip my 35mm slide. I hold it up to the sun, I shoot it raw, and then I take that raw file, bring it into Photoshop. That's not digitizing. So there are a lot of other ways. There's copy stands, there are scanners, which I would not bother with because not really expensive and not very good, but it's hard to keep the dust and stuff off of.
Okay.
So not my area of expertise, but I do have literally a dozen or more boxes full of binders, full of sleeves of slides, because we own that. That's all my kids and some of my grandkids stuff is all on slides. Papa, I needed this picture, great, it's not digitized, it's on film. Okay.
Right.
So what I do is
I
just, with your Rebel camera, perhaps they can steer you in the right direction. I know that Nikon makes a fitting that goes on. Does anybody else have that? Okay, it's just a fitting that screws on the end of your lens, and you can slide in there, no pun intended, and then you focus it and shoot it as raw, then bring that file into Photoshop. So, yeah.
That's okay. My question takes us more into the settings in the camera for the auto white balance. Sometimes most of the time I just keep, auto white balance, but there are times it's just not right. So I then choose which Kelvin I have, and I've heard that 5500 is equivalent to what sunlight is. And that should sometimes cover most of the stuff inside and outside of a room without shooting any flash, just some normal light. Would you find that to kind of be a good idea to put
Probably. I tell you, the last time I bought a camera, an iPhone, was 6 or 7 years ago, and it's a prosumer kit camera that I bought at Costco for Nikon. And to be honest with you, I hardly ever use it. So you're probably asking the wrong guy on this. I know that a lot of times that if it's shot raw, again, you might want to think about attending the meetup on Wednesday. If you shoot raw, you can change the color balance. So, because I talked about color correction, which you just talked about. Were you in the one I did last Wednesday? Or Wednesday? It was on color correction, and we talked about looking at neutrals in your image, which is kind of what you're talking about, white balancing. So, but you don't want to adjust your white balance if it's sunset.
Right.
So,
All right, let's land this plane. Thank you, John. What I
Thank
find
you.
amazing is there are people who are passionate about penguins and people who are passionate about lenses, and then there are people who are passionate about color. And so it's great. That's what makes the world go round. If we could all work together, learn a little bit here, learn a little bit there. But if you thought that color calibration was a check the box, right. We just learned it's not that easy. But it's not that hard.
Yeah,
right?
It's simple, not easy.
Yeah, the steps are there, but there has to be some hardware. There has to be an investment of both time and time and sometimes time.
You invest a lot of time in your photography. It's shame, and I see this all the time, to get that image all the way to the point where you go, I'm ready to make a print with this. Now what do I do? And we used to, in the old days, we would take the photographic process from A to M. Then from Q to Z, we would take it to professionals for film processing, printing, or what have you. Now, you could technically take the process from A to Z right now, but you want to make sure you're doing the same things that happened in Q to Z back in the old days, and that's what we're talking about here.
So if I screw up and I send my photo to you, can you fix it?
Yeah.
I do have a spider
How much
device.
money
Yeah.
do you have? I do a lot of master file creation, so, yeah.
Okay,
I can
okay.
definitely help you out. In fact, I don't think I did it for yours. I think yours, it just.
Well, this is where, you just, there's outsourced to excellence. Just take a print and send it over and magical things happen. Over there. So, John's gonna be available over here.
Yeah.
He's got some great samples over there. If you want to take a look and see what the latest printer can do, he'll be able to answer some questions for you. Thank you again, John. Put up some of the chairs, and then Judith has more paper to give away. We have lots of paper. Come get some. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, John. Right at 8:30. We're 8:31. We're good.
I do have a spider color.